once again, fellow people. Welcome to another edition of Tommy Travels. It's Tommy Travels. And behind me, off in the distance, you will see the beautiful Lake Calhoun. Or from what I understand, it's actually called something else now, but I don't know what that is. So for now, I'm going with Lake Calhoun. And then off over here, to my right, is the Bakken Museum. This is an old mansion right here off the shores of Lake Calhoun. And Earl Bakken, he is a guy that was obsessed, or at least a huge fan of Frankenstein. And he grew up to be an inventor, and he invented the first electronic portable pacemaker. And through doing that, it also allowed him to found a company called Medtronic, which is a medical device company and quite successful. And so this museum has been primarily set up for kids. There's a Frankenstein exhibit in it. It's to teach them about electricity and science. And so I think we should go in and see what there is to see. When I was a kid, I couldn't even put anything together on an erector set, and this guy was building stuff like this. He even built a robot that blinked and talked via remote control speaker and puffed on cigarettes. Much more advanced than I could be. What am I looking at right here, you ask? Well, what you are looking at is called a theremin, and I'm about to show you how it works. You hear that? The closer I get to the antenna, the higher pitch. They used to use this in movies to make scary sounds. And then you could do it with your right hand, and then control the volume with your left. So the higher my hand goes, the higher the volume. Didn't think I'd be doing that today. Do you like my headband? What this actually is, there's 3 metal discs right here. And it's supposed to test how relaxed my mind is, and it's actually a game. And so, you see this ball right here? There's a little ball. Right there. Okay, so if I press this button, it goes to the middle of the table. To this little star right here. And then if I relax my mind, the ball should move towards my opponent's end, which there is not even any opponent. And if I relax my mind, the ball will move towards my opponent, and it is moving towards me right now. I must not be very relaxed. This was my brain activity. Brainwaves excitement. Tommy Travels is exciting. So we're all familiar with what this is, an EKG machine. We see it in hospitals all the time and on doctor shows and things like that. But back in the early days, we wouldn't have seen anything like this. We would have seen something that looks a little bit more like this. An old-time EKG machine. And one thing I really like about this museum that I find fascinating is that as you walk up to things... Oh, well, this light is already on, but these cases have motion detectors, so when you walk up to it, the light just automatically comes right on for you. This is a electronic phantom torso. This hollow torso was filled with salt water, an electrical conductor. It was used to calibrate spatial vector EKG, the large device behind the torso. It worked in tandem and simulated heart made of a vectored. I don't know what the heck these guys are talking about, but this is an old-time thing that they used to use for medical purposes. That's what I'm gonna call it. Oh, see, it just went off now. Now if you move, oh, goes back on. I get such a kick out of that for some reason. This is the D'Arsenval spiral from 1900, and the spiral, sometimes known as the cage, is a large induction coil, and the patient would stand inside while the coil was filled with powerful high-frequency electromagnetic fields. And they used this device to try to treat obesity, gout, and diabetes. It must not have worked, because I haven't seen one of these ever in my lifetime. So it looks like we have some pictures of students working on some important scientific breakthroughs. And this is their shop down here. Lots of interesting things. And what is your name, sir?
So I'm Justin Spencer, the Youth Development Programs Manager here at the Bakken Museum.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what all goes on down here?
So we have our invention programs that happen here at our makerspace, where students get to come in and design and build their own projects.
Wow. What kind of things do they invent? Or what kind
whatever they can think up is what they get to make.
Oh, really?
Part of what's so cool about this program. So kind of our wall over there represents kind of our wall of fame, some of our favorite projects that students have made over the years. And so it's really a lot of games, a lot of personal projects, a lot of little brother detectors.
Oh, it's a little brother. Is that the little robot things?
No, just like little alarms that go
oh,
off when brothers try to sneak into your room.
oh,
Or jump on your bed or whatever it might be. So
that's pretty neat.
yeah. We like to ask kids what's something that bugs you or what's a problem that you might have. And often the thing that comes up is siblings. And so we come up with ways to help those siblings help each other to each other's problems or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what is your favorite project that you've seen?
Oh, favorite project. That's a tough one. We've made a lot of really good robots. They're not super complicated, but they got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
So the first one that comes to mind is a robot that had these kind of hockey stick shaped legs, and he would kind of swing them around, and he would kind of waddle forward. And the best part of it was the first time we tested it out, we set it down, and the first thing it did was fall onto its back and then kept walking. So it was totally unexpected, but totally delightful the way he moved. It was really great.
That must be neat to see the excitement on kids' faces too once they've gotten done.
It's so great to work with these kids who have all these ideas and energy, and then they get to kind of take these ideas and bring them into the world. It's a lot of fun to help them through that process.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
I have been doing this a little over 12 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How did you get into this?
I actually started as a volunteer in college.
Oh.
So it was my original intention to go off and be a high school science teacher. But started volunteering here as a college student and found out how much fun it can be to work in informal education, and kind of just stuck on it. So.
Absolutely. It sounds like a great job.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky to get to spend my days playing with kids.
And showing them new science stuff and seeing all the different things they could come up with.
A big part of it is just trying to empower them to take ownership of the world and shape the world to their liking and make it a better place.
So what happens does it cost money for the parents pay a certain fee for them to come down?
It's a fee-based program, and so the students get to come in, and a big part of the program is they get to work with mentors. And so a lot of times we get either students who are actively pursuing STEM degrees, or retired engineers or professional scientists who come in and work with these students and want to share their expertise and enthusiasm for science with these young inventors. And so it's kind of passing the passion from one generation to the next.
That's awesome. How often are there classes here?
We tend to do them seasonally. So we do a 6-week class in the fall, another one in the winter, and then again in the spring. So like this afternoon, we'll have our spring sessions 3 weeks in this week. So.
Wow. Well, if you have kids and they're into making things and inventing things, definitely bring them down here to the Bakken Museum, because Justin will take good care of them.
Absolutely.
And make sure they don't hurt themselves, but create something really exciting. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet.
This is Mary Shelley. She is the one that wrote the story of Frankenstein. That is who Earl Bakken was a big fan of as he started off his young career. Well, of all the luck, here she is right here, Mary herself. Mary, I can't believe, first of all, that I'm meeting you here, the one that wrote the story for Frankenstein. Hey, let me ask you a question. How did you get the idea for Frankenstein?
I started writing Frankenstein in the summer of 1816 when we were staying near Lord Byron in Geneva, Switzerland. The weather was terrible and we spent many hours inside talking. We also read ghost stories. One evening Lord Byron said each of us should write our own ghost story. He ended up writing a fragment of a story which he included in one of his poems. Percy also began one. Byron's personal doctor, John Polidori, was with us as well. He had some terrible idea about a skull-headed lady. It was awful. Eventually, all three of them gave up. Claire didn't even try. But I busied myself thinking of a story to rival the ones we had been reading. I hoped it would speak to the mysterious fears of our nature and awaken a thrilling horror. Could I make a reader like you dread to look around? Could I curdle your blood or make your heart beat faster? I began to think. Perhaps a corpse could be reanimated using electricity. Those who studied galvanism suggested that this might work. That night, when I went to bed, my imagination began to wander. I saw a pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing that he had put together. I saw a hideous phantasm of a man stretched out and then show signs of life and stir with an uneasy, half-vital motion. The next morning I told my friends of my short tale, and Percy convinced me to develop it further. I spent the next 2 years doing just that.
Here we are inside Frankenstein's laboratory. Lots of things along these shelves. I have no idea what they are, but they're all necessary to make this guy. Whoever the heck this is under that sheet, I wonder who it could be. I think it might be Frankenstein. And it looks like Dr. Frankenstein didn't quite finish his dinner over there. This is Dr. Frankenstein's desk, where he got all of his studying done, looks like. And incidentally, down here we are in an acoustical sweet spot. The Beach Boys would sound amazing in here. Here we are at the Frankenstein Puppet Theater today, where we will be watching a short play starring Victor Frankenstein and the monster himself.
So what's the deal, Frank? I heard you got fired from your job again, and this time it was at TGI Fridays. What happened? You didn't wear enough flair? I told you if you're gonna work there, you have to wear flair. I even gave you some flair. Well, maybe Applebee's is hiring.
And if you got that reference with those jokes, Congratulations on your sense of humor. This is a Ramsden generator, also known as an electrostatic generator. And wealthy gentlemen back in the late 18th century used to pick things like these up and engage in scientific research and debates, and sometimes they would even have electricity parties. Electricity parties aren't so popular today, but this guy, Benjamin Franklin, approves of them.
If they weren't captured in here, they would just go flying out.
Whoa! I shocked myself.
It happens in here. Like every time we're like, you won't get shocked. Actually, you might. Like, you might not get shocked. So that's a kind of cool thing. You can use these lighting jars, and actually, you can fill them up. So if you crank that, so basically, we're putting static into the jar.
Oh, okay.
And then different things you can do with it. You can put it between the bells.
Oh, okay.
And it's causing them to just repel attract. They repel attract because they're picking up the charge from the jar.
Mm-hmm.
You can just let the static out, which allows you to see the spark.
Wow.
And then this one's kind of fun too, if you want to crank this one up.
Okay. Adding a little more electricity. I didn't think I was going to get a workout today, but here it is.
I feel like my right arm must be significantly stronger than the other arm because of this generator. So, alright, so I'm going to bring it, can you kind of hear it sizzle? And what we're going to do is we're going to complete a circuit, and then you should be able to see a pattern right here.
Okay.
But it's kind of cool because, so that holds static, and it'll hold a lot. All it's got in there is it's just a metal conductor to bring it in, and then there's metal at the bottom.
Oh.
And so, and like this is basically, it's like a battery for static. So you can actually carry your static around with you if you wanted for some reason to take it somewhere and help somebody by static shocking them. For instance, you can do it with this.
Now, did they sell those in the gift shop then? They don't. Okay.
And we do show people how to make them in one of our classes.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very simple thing. It's but yeah.
That's really fascinating. Well, that's interesting. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me today at the Bakken Museum here by the fabulous Lake Calhoun. Sure was fun, and I'm gonna finish my day here with a little bit of light reading. What should I read today? Maybe I'll start with maybe the entire volume of papers by Ben Franklin. How about that? Oh, that's not it either. There's these ones down here. All 40 volumes. Maybe I'll just read those here before I take off. So I'm going to keep myself busy here, and until next time, I hope to catch you guys on the flip side.